I can go on.
Hello, and welcome to this virtual gathering of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Waynesboro. I'm Laura Riggin. I've been a member of this fellowship for about 10 years. My current official title is Immediate Past President. I'm so glad you are with us today. When we gather for our in-person services, we join together not in spite of our differences, but to grow in our diversity. Socioeconomic background, race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, and ability are all markers and integrated components of the total people we are. Each one of us is in some ways unique, each one in some ways like many others around us. Some differences are easily observed, others only come to our awareness after long engagement with each other. We are eminently more fabulous when we can bring all of who we are individually into the mix of who we are together. And that transforms our gathering into sacred time and space. We gather not because we must, but because we can. Our virtual services and Zoom coffee hours are, of course, quite different from the in-person gatherings where we can see each other's faces, hear each other's voices, touch each other's hands. Still, to paraphrase the well-worn words of Kenneth Patton, we arrive out of many singular rooms, coming over the branching streets, over the Wi-Fi, through the fiber optics, the flowing river of data. We come together gigabyte-wise and in spirit, joining together with the music of our movement and our values. Electronically for now, physically again eventually, it is good to be with one another. With gratitude for the ways we can be together despite the necessity of being apart, we kindle the chalice of our hearts with these simple words. Each morning we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, to give back. We hallow this tie together by kindling the lamp of our shared heritage.
Hi everybody, my name is Mark David Buckles, and I'm going to be sharing the song Bright Morning Star with you. I hope you'll sing it with me. Some of you might be familiar with the song in the Unitarian Universalist hymnal, Bright Morning Stars. My understanding is that the song originally was Bright Morning Star, about our sun. Bright morning star is arising, or bright morning stars arising. This is also a different melody from maybe the one you've heard. It's, in my understanding, an old Appalachian melody, and it's got some additional verses written by my friend and colleague Matt Meyer. So here's how the song goes. Bright morning stars arising, bright morning stars arising, bright morning stars arising. Day is a breaking in my soul. So I'm going to line that out for you. I'll sing one line, invite you to sing it back with me. Bright morning stars arising. Your turn. Bright morning stars arising. 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 Day is a breaking in my soul. Day is a breaking. Day is a breaking in my soul. So let's try that whole thing together. Bright morning. Bright morning stars arising. Bright morning stars arising. Bright morning stars arising. Day is a breaking in my soul. Let's try that one more time. Bright morning. Bright morning stars arising. Bright morning stars arising. Bright morning stars arising. Day is a breaking in my soul. Rise up from morning slumber. 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 Day is a breaking in my soul. Rise up and hear your calling. 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 Day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, lift your voice to heaven. 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 Day is breaking in my soul. We'll sing out loud for justice. 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 Day is a breaking in my soul. We'll build this faith together. 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 Day is a breaking in my soul. Bright morning star, bright morning star arising. Bright morning stars arising. Bright morning stars arising. Day is a breaking in my soul. One more time, bright morning stars arising. Bright morning stars arising. Bright morning stars arising. Day is a breaking in my soul. Day is a breaking. Day is a breaking in my soul. Day is a breaking. Day is a breaking in my soul. One more time. Day is a breaking in my soul.
Our words of prayer today are by Tanya Marquez and Katie Kandarian Morris. From the heights of the Andes, the jungle and the desert, from the depths of the sea, from a time that was, from a time that stretches beyond our memory, we are called. Our histories stretch back to the first people, the first steps, the collision of worlds to abrupt beginnings, all wanderers of this land. We have inherited the unfinished labor of our ancestors, of those who came before us. We are called to continue the work. The voices of our people call us now. The world harbors their joys and their sorrows. We hear the cries of our people demanding justice. In that call, we recognize the voice of those who wander in the desert, the border crossers, the navigators, the justice seekers, the dreamers, and the hopeful. We weave our story to the story of our ancestors. Right here, right now, we are in the midst of responding to the call that comes from all the corners of this land, from the south, the north, the east, and the west. We are called to sustain the work. The voices of those who will be call us a reminder of who we need to be. In the weaving of our story to the web of life, we must remember that we must not cut the strings, for there are others coming after us, others with tender hearts and strong wills, with creative determination, those who will live in the house of tomorrow, and their vision escapes us. Yet we are called to prepare the road, to leave behind possibility and foundations upon which they'll build a better tomorrow. We are called to create new opportunities. When we have been together in our fellowship hall, in times when it was safe to do so, I invited you to breathe together, conscious of the fact that you're breathing the same air, that you're sharing something in the very act of breathing. And now we find ourselves in a time when that is not safe. And so I invite you in your private spaces to think of those times, to think of being together, and to breathe into the togetherness even as we are apart from each other. Breathe in deeply and breathe out, knowing that no matter our distance, no matter the risks of being together, we are one. O God of many names, the personal and mysterious, we have come to a quiet time, an interior place, a place of deepening of spirit, enrichment of soul. We seek to know ourselves by knowing you. Let us have the courage to sit in the unknowing, to look for the answers even if they are to sit with our questions, to be willing to be authentic with ourselves, to be ready to bring our face to the world. Let us be willing to know others by welcoming their genuine features, by welcoming them into the world, by appreciating the beauty that comes from seeing wholeness and truth. Let us sit in that quiet depth. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. When we come together, we share our joys and sorrows, those things in our personal life that are of prime importance. Heather Banks writes that the grandfather and step-grandmother of her daughter-in-law, Danielle, both died of COVID-19 within days of each other in England. Not wanting intubation, they refused hospital care. Neither the large United Kingdom family, nor Danielle, nor her parents who live in Florida can now plan or attend a memorial service. Please hold them in your heart. Let us hold this sorrow and all that remain unspoken in our hearts together in a time of silence time to still ourselves.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Hello, my name is David Kirk, and I'd like to read a poem for you by Ashley Horan titled, Another World is Possible. Another world is possible. We say it again and again, even when the proof lies somewhere beyond the horizon, beyond our reach, beyond our imagination. This is our faith. Another world is possible. Not somewhere else, another world, another lifetime, but here and now for us and for all. Another world is possible. There is no single path toward that world, no one strategy or approach that will restore balance, heal brokenness, sow wholeness, free creation. There are many routes toward liberation, toward freedom, but the abundance of options does not absolve us of the responsibility of acting. Another world is possible. The call, the duty of each moment in history is to discern who are we and what can we bring with humility, integrity, faith. What is the context and how can we address it with agility, resilience, skill? What is the vision and how can we realize it with accountability, relationship, joy? Another world is possible in this time of despair, of fear, of collapse. This time that is both like every other era and like no other time in history. It is audacious to declare our faith and to commit our work to a world that is more free, more just, more whole. But we are an audacious people in good company, with many kin, and we are ready to show up and work hard and stay humble and make friends and hold the vision starting here, now, today, with us and persevering however long it takes until that other world is not only possible, but another world is here.
There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
I am already under.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
I am already under.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
I am already under.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me. Let the wave wash over me. Let the wave wash over me. I am already under. Let the wave wash over me. Let the wave wash over me. Let the wave wash over me. I am already under. Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
I am already under.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
There will be better days.
Let the wave wash over me.
Better days.
There will be better days.
I am already
There
under.
will be better days.
There will be better days.
There will be
Let
better
the
days.
wave
There will be better
wash
days. There will be better
over
days.
me.
There will be better days.
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 I got my notes.
When I was in business school working toward my Master of Accountancy degree, I found myself often dealing with the mundane, if sometimes difficult to master, concepts of my field. I mean, who wants surprises when it comes to their business data? Mundane was desirable, as it is in many areas of life. My sister-in-law, who had too much drama in her first marriage, has said she married my brother because he was boring. Now, she worded it that way for effect, to be sure, yet without it being the least bit pejorative. Mundane can be good. Boring can be good. It can be secure and reassuring. Still, in business school, I also found myself facing paradoxes, those contradictions that you just have to hold lightly because more than one thing is true. How many business people and others use Sun Tzu's 5th century Chinese classic, The Art of War, as their guide to business and life in times of peace? Or the paradox I observed that business students in the required graduate level business ethics seminar were so often amazed by an area like this when they freely admitted never thinking of it all before, and the ethical ignorance it brought into focus existed in the same arena as business writers and consultants whose presentations were only a half step, if that, away from being sermons. Talks that were inspirational and challenging, spiritual even. Every business conference I attended as a CPA had a keynote speaker who could easily preach a solid sermon in any liberal church. And this was placed right alongside the aspects of business that might be described sometimes with violent imagery, such as cutthroat or take no prisoners. Many of you will remember Admiral James Stockdale. Perhaps you remember him from his memoir about his and his family's experience of his being a prisoner of war in the Hanoi Hilton for 8 long years. It was published in 1984 and made into a TV movie in 1987. Or maybe you remember him as Ross Perot's running mate in 1992, and how this American hero and philosopher became a laughingstock on the vice presidential debate stage in a single performance for which he had little chance of being adequately prepared. His philosophical area of expertise was Stoic philosophy, and from his Stoic position he gifted the world with something that has been named for him, the Stockdale Paradox. Many Americans who became aware of this concept came to it through business consultant and author James C. Collins in his book, Good to Great: Why Some Companies Make the Leap and Others Don't. It was published in October of 2001, only about a month after the Al-Qaeda attacks. The Patriot Act had been signed into law, but there was not yet a Department of Homeland Security or U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which suddenly then lumped normal immigration into the same area as anti-terrorism. America was only on the verge of becoming what it is now. In his interviews with Admiral Stockdale, Collins received these bits of wisdom that he then dubbed the Stockdale Paradox. Stockdale said, "I never lost faith in the end of the story. I never doubted not only that I would get out, but also that I would prevail in the end and turn the experience into the defining event of my life, which, in retrospect, I would not trade." When Collins asked who didn't make it out of Vietnam, Stockdale replied, "Oh, that's easy. The optimists. They were the ones who said we're going to be out by Christmas, and Christmas would come and Christmas would go, and then they'd say, were going to be out by Easter, and Easter would come, and Easter would go, and then Thanksgiving, and then it would be Christmas again, and they died of a broken heart. Stockdale then added, "This is a very important lesson. You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. You have to be able to hold mutually contradictory things. Faith in an eventuality you hope for, and a hard-headed insistence on the facts as they are, not sugarcoating anything, dealing with the truth no matter how challenging it is. This is the Stockdale Paradox. We find ourselves in a time when we have to hold mutually contradictory things every day. And we best do it with a light touch. We have to face the paradox. Our scientific and medical experts warn us about thinking we are in the clear. They tell us that reopening is something much more difficult and fraught, much riskier than many political leaders are ever willing to admit in public. So we have to hold to our faith that we are going to come through this together without putting it on a timetable that is not based in scientific knowledge. We need to weather the current difficulties and those to come without relinquishing our faith in the future. Now, as Americans and as Unitarian Universalists, we Unitarian Universalists tend to be optimistic, sometimes unrealistically so. Our faith, though, calls us to be hard realists, trusting the results of science as a sound guide for action. And so, this week, Susan Frederick Gray, the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, offered some hard-nosed and difficult guidance to our congregations across the country. In a letter which she published and which is open to everyone on the association's website, she offered a letter that is already being discussed and debated and parsed by lay congregants, boards, and ministers across the country. And in that letter, she wrote these words: "While there is much public conversation about reopening, the reality is public health officials consistently predict a long trajectory for this pandemic. A majority of our congregational members, leaders, and staff members are in high-risk categories. Our care for the well-being and safety of our members and staff must be a priority in this pandemic." Her advice offered a longer time frame than we have yet been discussing here. Now, our religious tradition practices congregational polity. Susan Frederick Gray was absolutely not issuing an order, nor should we see it as such. Decision-making authority rests within the congregation. She was giving the association's considered recommendation based on consultations with an array of experts on the basis of much scientific research and in deep consideration of our principles and values as a movement, together with the realities of risk factors in our congregations. And be assured, our fellowship has not yet made our own determination of timing and methods and phases, but whatever our decision, whatever we eventually come to, It must be one that holds contradictory principles together and weighs the many aspects of how any particular decision we make relates to our Unitarian Universalist values. Who we will be, what values we prioritize, and what our future will look like are often determined in our response to crisis and uncertainty rather than our planning that we've based on idealistic and optimistic hopes for what we want to come. No matter when our own reopening may be, we have to base our decisions not on optimism alone, but on hard facts and scientific wisdom. And that must be paired with faith in our future together and best practices for the present. And so I leave you today asking you to accept the paradox of faith in what ultimately must be and the hard reality of the present moment. Hold them lightly, yet do not let go of either. Let our words of benediction be the words of Admiral Stockdale. You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. We can confront those brutal facts and face the difficult decisions ahead of us because we are together, a community of values and faith in that ultimate future. Amen, and blessed be.